Good morning.
Oh, there he is. Lori LaCoppola himself. How are you?
I am if only I could step into those high heels.
What are you using her Zoom links now?
Why am I Lori LaCoppola though?
No worries. We have the ability to change your name, but I mean, it looks good on you, man. It's all good.
I am not Her Majesty, but I did go through her link that she sent me, so maybe that's why it happened.
That's what happened. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No worries, though. No worries.
I'll have to let people know who I am.
There's Margot.
Good morning, Margot. Lori, there's two Loris.
Uh-oh, now we're going to be in trouble. We can only handle one on these calls.
No doubt.
All right, I'm going to take a few minutes to set up our Facebook stuff. You guys can chatter.
Morning, Craig.
Get him, Craig.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. I am Ryan Owens, LaCoppola. Mm-hmm. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing really good. What's up there, Tony Baroni?
What's up, buddy? How are you, Ryan?
Feeling good. Just trying to do my best Lori LaCoppola impression today.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't look like Lori.
Not that pretty. Good to see everybody.
See, Don's on his yacht again.
Oh, yeah.
Don's living the life.
I figure it's the best way to overcome the storm, right? Is just go out there and face it head on.
Weather the storm.
That's right, man. That's what a real champion would do. You know, I knew you were going to be on today. I said, I got to impress Tony Baroni. It's time to pull the yacht out.
It's not hard to impress me, believe me.
It's not, trust me. I impressed him once, and that didn't do much. Hey, Ken, good morning. You're looking good. What you been doing?
We're going to get rolling in just a minute, guys. I'm just setting up our Facebook Live, and then we'll get started with some intros. Be patient with myself here.
You're on a yacht.
I just sent Jennifer the panelist link, so they'll be on in a second. Don.
Okay. If for some reason they didn't see the link that they should have gotten through Zoom, they can also join the attendee link, and I can promote them.
They said they had the panelist link, so
Okay.
I just sent them the correct ones. They should be on in a second. Okay, I don't see them still. Where are they? What the heck?
Am I on the wrong? Is that what
Hey,
You're in the right place.
Oh, all right. I didn't know. Thanks.
hey Don.
Yo.
Jen and Jason are having issues getting on. They've used the panelist link, but they're not able to. They can see us, but they can't. They can see us, but we cannot see them.
Hey, guys.
Interesting. All right. Let me see if I can help once I finish up this
He's gonna try to help
this
in a
Facebook
moment.
thing set up for you.
Yeah, I can see everyone else. Hey, Rob. Okay,
Hey, Lori, how you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. You look wonderful this morning.
Oh, you're so sweet. Hi, Ken.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us. How are you? I feel like I
I'm
haven't
doing
seen you
well.
in forever.
I know.
We need a lunch soon or something.
Sounds good.
We'll go to
Sounds good.
Portillo's or something over by you.
Did everyone survive the hurricane?
I was about to say I think everybody has some kind of water call, water damage, water leak, water something. So
A trash can fell over.
Oh,
We will rebuild.
are you gonna be okay?
Yeah.
Right, I don't know what the deal with Jen and Jason are. I've sent her the correct one.
All right, I'm almost set. Appreciate your patience.
I have some bamboo down on a listing we're supposed to close on Monday. We're supposed to sign tomorrow, and like a bunch of bamboos on the rooftop. So my sellers are running over there to assess damage and hopefully do some cleanup today.
You're looking really, really good there.
Oh, thanks. It's, you know, they have this enhancement on Zoom. I don't know if you guys know this.
Whatever.
You click on this enhancement. Craig taught it to me.
That's funny.
Actually, I think it was Owens. Owens did a video on it.
Ryan did it. Yeah, that's
Zoom
right.
will even put lipstick on you now. I haven't tried it. But,
Yeah.
I
I don't know, Ryan.
Here we go. I think Jason and Jen got us. They joined.
Awesome.
Yay.
Let me see if I can just rename them.
Give him funny
There's a
names.
lot of Lori Lacopolas on this morning.
I know. Why does yours keep coming up like, oh, because I always send you. the
Everybody's
link.
using your link, Lori.
I
But you
know.
can-
Sorry.
Can't you rename it? Right click it and rename.
He likes to be called Lori Lacopola, though.
Oh, oh, what? Sorry.
Who doesn't?
Oh, rename, yeah.
Who
Rename
doesn't?
yourself, Ryan.
All right, guys, we should be streaming live now on Facebook. We're recorded, so we're ready to rock and roll. I'm excited about today's panel. I do hope everybody got through the storm okay last night. I know we have some people joining us here as attendees in the audience, and we'll be hopping on Facebook Live as well as we get rolling. And hopefully looks like the worst is beyond us now, and we're just kind of figuring out if there's any damage that we have to deal with. I know that there was some pretty serious flooding though that I was seeing last night. So all our thoughts and prayers are with everybody that there wasn't too bad, and that people are able to go forward today full steam ahead. So that's the joys of living in Florida. You know, we got to take the joys of paradise, and sometimes we have some storms. It's just it's the way that it is. So but really excited about today's panel. We're going to start with a brief introduction of some of our sponsors that make this even possible for our entire platform. And then we will dive right in to our topic today, guys, which is, I think, a really cool topic, especially a very timely topic, knowing that the year is almost up. Many of us are starting to plan, of course, our 2021 plans. Some of us may already be complete with our 2021 planning. But the goal today is to really flush out the idea of how to sell 100 homes in a year. And of course, everybody that we have on the panel has done that. And many of them have done it multiple years. So we're excited to learn their expertise as to how we've gone about doing that. But those of you who might be joining us, I'm assuming if you're in our audience, you probably are familiar with Tampa Bay Real Producers already. But my name is Don Hill. I'm the founder of the platform, and we feature the top 500 producers in the Tampa Bay market. There's 18,000 licensed real estate agents in Tampa Bay, meaning in Hillsborough and Pinellas counties combined. And we've tried to feature the best of the best to be in the top 500. Somebody would have had to produce about $9 million in volume last year, and they averaged about 40 transactions per agent last year. So the people that we have on today's panel far exceeded that. But excited about what we're going to dive into here. So thank you again, you guys as sponsors for all your support of our panel. I want to start there with recognizing a couple of our sponsors. We'll start with Milestone Title. We got two representatives here today, so you guys can duke it out as to who wants to say what. But thank you, of course, for all of your support of our platform. And Ryan, Lori, if you want to say hello and say a word or two.
Hi, everyone. So Lori Lacopola with Milestone Title. I am going to let Ryan take it over just because he is just amazing and I love what he has to say. But I am so beyond excited to hear this panel today. So I think we have some of the top producers in Tampa, and I'm lucky enough to have relationships with all of you, and I'm super excited to hear you today. So I'm going to sit back and relax and excuse myself and let Ryan take over. But Don, thank you for everything that you do and bringing this community together. It is totally appreciated. So I love what you do. Ryan?
They always throw me on stage. I never know what I'm going to say, but I'm Ryan Owens here with Milestone Title Services, and you guys are in store for a treat. If you're looking to sell more than 100 homes in a year, you've got one of the best panels to learn from today. So really happy to be in association with Tampa Bay Real Producers at Milestone. And I wanted to say something to my listing agents out there. Truly, your number one partnership, in my opinion, should be your title company. And if it doesn't feel like that now, if they're not your number one, most reliable, most tight-knit partner, then you're missing out on the things that you can feel with being with Milestone Title Services, because we are really making sure that we are in true partnership with our agents all over the state of Florida. We do closings all over the state of Florida. We have vetted 10-year relationships with our mobile closers, and we're just excited to tell you more about Milestone Title Services, but I'm going to get off of here and move on to the other great sponsors that we have, and looking forward to hearing this panel. Thanks.
Is that a Woodstock guitar behind you there, Ryan?
Yeah, I just got this. I've always wanted a Martin guitar. I just picked it up. It sounds beautiful.
Very cool.
I don't, but it
playing that live yourself back in the Woodstock days, but you stay young, man. You stay young. All right. I want to introduce you to another one of our partners, and that's Margot Ackerman with Home Team Inspections. The Home Team has been a great partner of Tampa Bay Real Producers for about a year now, and they've been very actively involved in a lot of our events, and you guys have seen some of their features, of course, in the magazine as well. Margot is just a sweetheart, has a huge heart, loves to help people, has gone out of her way to help a lot of our other partners as well gain a lot of exposure throughout our platform. So Margot, I appreciate all of your support. If you want to say a few words and say hello.
Hi, everybody. And John, thank you. This is one of the partnerships we love above everything. And we love to partner with people, whether we're dealing at the top with the real producers or as we go down the chain and we deal with your agents. We love the agents. Love, love, love. And I agree with Brian. I mean, you've got to find people that you can work with, people that you know will be there, people that will stand behind you. That is very important because you're only as good as your team. And I know that because we work as a team, and it's very important for that to happen. Also, planning is very important. Most of you don't know, but before we ended up buying the franchise, I was a financial planner, and I work with people all the time in setting goals and making sure they did it. And the one thing I have to tell you as you start setting goals today is make sure that they're realistic, but a stretch. And don't do them and put them in your drawer. Keep them out. Look at them every day. Make sure it's the most important thing. It's the one thing you check every day, and you keep it right there and work on it every single day. And I hope all of you listening today can achieve 100 homes.
So Margot, great tips on goal setting. Appreciate it. We're definitely going to dive into that topic a little bit today. So thank you so much. I know that you guys have accomplished a lot in your business, and I'm sure some of those goal tips that you shared were part of those reasons. So thank you, Margot. And I also want to recognize and introduce another one of our great title partners, and that's none other than Celebration Title Group. And Celebration's actually been working with the Real Producers brand in multiple markets now for years, starting with our Orlando market, adding and expanding into our Tampa market. And I believe, and Rob, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or Josh, I think I saw Josh hop on, but now he's hiding behind Rob's name down there. So
yes.
Rob, I think you guys are even working with us over in the Daytona market, if I remember correctly. So we haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. I'm glad that we do. This is our first opportunity, and I look forward to getting to know you more at some of our upcoming events. But Celebration has been a great partner of our brand for many years now, like I said, in multiple markets. So Rob, if you want to say hello and welcome, and thank you so much for your support.
Yes, thank you very much, Don. I appreciate you putting this on, and thank you obviously to everyone who's participating. I am Rob Modesto. I'm the newcomer here from Celebration Title Group. We're Florida's premier title agency and the only agency that has the means basically to help your business grow from different angles. So we have marketing, business development, social media, all of which that you can find on our free growth platform, which is celebrateyouonline.com. We have about 60 employees that spread across 15 offices all over the state of Florida, and we're continuing to grow. We actually grew a lot during the pandemic and over the last couple of years as well. We have the resources at your disposal to kind of help you take your business to the next level. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is putting our agents and their clients first by offering a unique experience that turns what's normally like a boring transactional closing process into a celebration, which is great. The clients and the agents both love it. You don't have to take my word for it, though. You can check us out on Google. We have almost 600 5-star reviews, and Facebook, we have well over 3,000 likes. So again, thank you very much. Appreciate your time, and good luck, everybody, to reaching 100 homes.
All right. Thank you, Rob. All right, guys. And I'm going to, you know, the process. So if you're one of our partners, we love you dearly, but we're going to demote you to our attendee role. And we obviously would love you to hang out and listen. But we're going to spotlight our realtors here. Let me just see. Okay. Change role. Boom, boom. All right. Let me see if we got everybody. I think we do. Okay. All right, guys. So let's get rolling with the meat and potatoes here. You guys are here to learn about how to sell 100 homes in a year. I will keep my bios of these talented individuals very short and brief, but I got to at least introduce them, right? So let me go ahead and introduce, first off, Ken Brownlee. Ken, I appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Ken has been a top producer for many years now with Keller Williams, has done over 100 units a year for many years now as well. I didn't know this about you, Ken, that you're a passionate woodworker. That's interesting. I'd love to see some, maybe those shelves behind you. Is that your own personal work?
Unfortunately, it's not IKEA. So
gotcha.
No, thanks.
So you have a man of multi-talents. He's a certified distressed property expert and an E-Pro expert, and also a Florida native. So he's very used to the hurricane seasons. Nothing bothers Ken when it comes to tropical storms, I'm sure.
I've seen a few. Yes.
So thanks for being
come and go. They come and go. They drag you out a little too long. But
yes, they do. That's for sure. This is a little bit later in the year than normal, I guess, in November. All right, let me go ahead and introduce you as well to Jason and Jen Catalanotto. Excited to have you guys both here, owners of Lifestyle Home Team, brokered by EXP. These guys have a pretty fascinating background in terms of their entrepreneurship resume. They've been running businesses outside of real estate and within real estate in business development, sales, consulting, management, financial operations, originally from the great state of Ohio. But they've been dominating the scene here in Florida real estate since 2013. They're on track, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but over the last 12 months, I believe you guys are on track for over 150 transactions and over $50 million in volume this year as a team. So excited to learn what you guys have to share and getting to know you a little bit more as well. Thanks for being here today, Jason and Jen.
Thanks so much for having us.
No doubt. And then last but not least, I get to introduce Tony Baroni and one of his team members, Craig Kellner. Excited to have Craig join us today as well. And we'll talk about why in just a second. But to first say hello to Tony. This is actually Tony's second time being on a panel with Tampa Bay Real Producers. We appreciate your willingness to do so, Tony. I believe over 180 units last year with your organization. From the Midwest as well, graduate from Illinois State University, got his license back in 2005, actually started as a mortgage broker and then found his passion as an agent. Tony sits on the leadership committee board for Keller Williams, top sales with KW, top listings per year, vice president of a BNI group, has built really a great dynamic team. In my opinion, one of the most dynamic teams in the Tampa Bay market that I've had the ability to connect with in the last few years of doing this business, and also a Little League baseball coach, as we've had the chance to talk about as well. So thanks again for being here, Tony. Appreciate all your leadership and excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Don. We appreciate you.
No doubt. And then Craig, I'm excited to meet you, man. Pretty impressive to see that you joined Tony's team a little over 3 years ago. And in those 3 years have done over 360 homes. So you've averaged over 100 homes a year since joining the team. Pretty impressive. Excited to hear some of your systems and how you've done it. You're from Maine, huh? Another Northeastern guy.
Yeah. So
nice. I'm a Connecticut guy myself, so I always appreciate a fellow Northeasterner joining the squad. University of Missouri, and as you just heard, has been crushing it over the last few years in real estate. So, all right, guys, let's dive right in. And as you probably, just to kind of lay out some of the ideas here, we're going to go through these questions. And, if for some reason you feel like you don't have anything that you want to add or jump into on a particular question, don't feel obligated to do so. We'll, I'm sure, have plenty of opportunity to get around. And if you have something that you'd like to say and jump in that we don't even address in a question, we'll try to just have it be a free-flowing type conversation as much as possible. So the first thing we usually start with is a brief little recap, because I think a lot of people who are our audience members and that watch these recordings, they learn a lot from hearing your story. There are people, all different types of agents that are going to benefit from this. Some of them that are already doing over 100 a year. Some of them have never done that, but really want to. Maybe this will be their first year they go after it in 2021. Some of them that are brand new, like the idea of selling 100 homes is very intimidating to some agents out there who just got a license within the last few months. And so what I think people benefit from is hearing, some of the ebbs and flows of your story over the years. But when we tell the story, we're going to keep it brief, a minute or two each. Try to keep in mind, like, when was the first time that you sold 100 homes in a year? And if you want to throw in there, like, how many times that's happened since, just to kind of show and keep on aligned with our theme here today, which is 100 homes in a year. So why don't we start with Ken, and just a brief little bio, Ken, of your story and when you broke that 100 home barrier.
Okay. I got in the business back in 2007 during the downturn. And I really had no experience except, my wife and I were buying and flipping homes or buying and investing. Other than that, I didn't have any other experience. When I got in it, I was just trying everything because I didn't know, whatever the new email came in and said, try this, it's going to work. So I was very busy a couple of years, but I think year 3 is when I started hitting the 100 plus, or maybe year 4. So after that, it's just been right at a little over 100 since then. So the last 9 years.
Only 9 years in a row. No, nothing too shabby.
No.
No, I love it. They're very nonchalant, right?
Well, no, it's just you. My thing is I want to treat people the way I would like to be treated, and that's all I go with. And it has nothing to do with the numbers per se. It's just I feel like I'm going to give the extra wow to anybody and everybody that I can, and then that's just the goal that me and the team have.
Awesome, Ken. Thank you. And so you can kind of see that it took a few years to kind of gain, not that doing less than 100 isn't still a successful year, but to break that threshold of 100 homes in a year. Ken's one example. Someone took about 3 years. Let's go to Jason and Jen.
Go with 4.
About 4 then. Sounds good.
No, it wasn't that fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I got licensed in 2013. He got licensed in 2014. But I kind of went into real estate. We just moved here from Ohio. So kind of just wanted to start doing something, get my feet wet. I didn't have a sphere. I didn't really know anybody. So I got licensed and quickly realized that I wanted a mentor. I needed a mentor because I needed help. So there was a top producer in our office. She was our realtor when we moved here. And I kind of went up to her. She will tell the story and says that I didn't give her an option, but I thought I asked her to help me. So she kind of helped me get started in the business. I think having that mentor was huge. But, us having that business background, I kind of just went into it like I'm opening a business, and I'm thankful that we had that. So I'd say, I jumped in kind of just, I think like a lot of agents, like I was kind of like, oh, let's just see what happens. I think I want to try this, but quickly realized the opportunity. And by having that mentor, I think my first year we did I did 66 homes my first year as a new agent, and then was very busy. He jumped in, and I think it took us 3 years to hit 3 or 4 years to hit that 100 homes a year mark.
Very cool. So some similarities there actually to Ken's story in terms of timeline, but obviously a different path as to how they've got there.
Yeah.
Jason, you have anything you want to add to that?
No, that's about it. I mean, I think we're fortunate having the business background really helped. Real estate, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is some people look at real estate as a job, but in the reality, it's really a business, and you've got to approach it from that business ownership mindset to be successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's definitely a big distinction that I think some agents struggle with, especially when they're new.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Tony, let's go to you.
Yeah, so I moved from Illinois back in 2001, and then I was a logistics consultant for 4 years, kind of running my business within that business. And our goal was to save $1 million a year for our logistics companies that we work for. And I bought my first home in 2004 and said, hey, I think I can do this. This will be easy. Wow, I was wrong with that. And got my mortgage license first, did that for about a year. Learned I didn't really like that, and I wanted to be around people. So I said, hey, I'm going to get my real estate license. Got married, went on my honeymoon, came back, started it in the real estate business full time. Did that for about a year and a half. Then I joined a team with Larry Bartow, which was the top team in the area at the time, and became his listing agent. We sold basically, to answer your question, 100 homes since 2007, technically being on his team for 4 years. And then I started my team in 2011, and we've been doing over 100 since 2013 on our team as well. And this year we're going to close 300, and Craig himself is going to close 116, which is pretty amazing. So appreciate that, Craig. You're awesome. And I think the biggest thing is, when you get to that level where you run out of time, you got to start creating leverage. You've got to start hiring the right people. And I think people are too soon to hire a bunch of salespeople because it's free, right? We all know that it's free to do that. So it's the easy path. Yet if you get a great assistant, you're going to double your business. So those people listening that are doing 30, 40, 45 units, my best was 44. So kudos to Jen doing 66. I don't know how you did that, but it will double your business. So we went from 44 to 110 with the right EA, the right EA that took 80% off my plate. And then over time, you decide to, invest more in building your business, and you find people like Craig that really just take over your role, which he replaced me as the listing agent on our team. And he came in with no experience. So that's the other thing I want people to know is, you don't necessarily need to have a lot of experience, because Craig didn't have any, and he went on his first 60 days and took 42 listings after the right training program. So it's anyone can do it. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, as we all say, and it does take hard work. So I love what Jason said. It is a business, and I just treated it like a business day one. I showed up the same time every day. I had a plan, and I've just followed it. And there's been a lot of bumps in the road. So, I look for people that can overcome challenges when I'm hiring, who has overcame lots and lots of challenges, because that's what real estate is. We're professional problem solvers. It's what we do.
Great stuff, Tony. Appreciate some of the insights there. Craig, I'm going to have you go next. I'm excited to hear some of your takeaways, because we have some pretty dynamic team builders on this call, as you can see. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your 100 plus a year has been, just you, and I'm sure you have some help, but basically you haven't built a mega team yet, right? It's mostly your activity, you're driving it, and you've been producing, over 100 a year doing that. So I'm sure that is very inspiring to a lot of people that maybe don't see themselves as a team builder necessarily. They maybe don't want to build, the scope of a team like some others on this call, but they would love to get the production that you're getting of 100 plus a year. So let's talk a little bit about that, Craig. How has that panned out for you? And what are some of the keys that you've experienced in these last 3.5 years?
Yeah, so just a brief history too. grew up in Maine and then went to college at University of Missouri. And then out of college, I went straight to work for Lowe's for 12 years. Everybody knows Lowe's. And I did sales and then management with them too. So really haven't had that many careers, honestly. It's been, you know, my retail jobs in high school and then Lowe's and then Tony. So I've had really been blessed with Tony. His mentorship, the first 6 months was key. Really even 30, 60, 90, where I shadowed him for 30 days. He shadowed me for 30 days. And then the next 30 days was pretty much go do your thing. And then he was there every night for questions and advice and stuff like that. So that's really what helped me crush it the first 60 days, like he said, is he kind of set me up for success. So when I first started, I literally shadowed him from 6 a.m. till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So we were writing thank you cards at nighttime. We were eating Bavita bars, granola bars. I mean, that was our lunches and dinners, but that's what it was pretty much when I first started. And then it's just kind of grown from there. We have a great back end of our team. Our admin team is just phenomenal. So even some of the experience back there too, they were able to take a guy from Lowe's and just kind of help me with each part of the transaction and coach me. What's the best way to take care of the client? Here's what I would do. This is what I would recommend, stuff like that. So that's kind of how we've been able to grow it each year. So
awesome, man. Thanks again for the insights and congrats on the success. Excited to see where that's going to take you going into 2021. So we've already addressed a little bit of the distinction between like team production and individual production. But I'd like to, again, maybe dive a little bit deeper into that with some of your insights. So when you think about the idea of selling 100 homes in a year, where does your mentality go? Do you view that as the easiest path to get there is to build a team and try to, you know, gain volume through sharing those responsibilities that way? Do you view, you know, what does it take for an individual performer to do that level of production? You know, I know, as we mentioned earlier, it's not required for someone to build a team to do 100 a year, but I'd love to get some more of your insights on that distinction between, there are probably some agents who are probably even a little bit maybe confused as to what that best path might look like for them. Stay individual, build a team. What's the easiest way to be able to get the level of production that I want? They can probably benefit from some of your thoughts on that. Why don't we start with Craig and Tony, and then we'll work backwards, since you guys have you know, both dynamics there that you can talk about.
Yeah, so I would say, you know, you have to have the business first, right? So we try to hire people. We don't have the business to be able to support them, or, you know, we're just basically, you know, like some models I think are, hey, everyone knows 3 people, they'll make 3 sales, so I'll make some money from them. You know, so I think you got to do it for the right reasons. You have to have the right support system. If you think about Craig walked into a full-time listing manager, a full-time listing coordinator. Over time, we've hired a field rep to help him out on things that happen with real estate. And he's also stepped up into more of a leadership role as well within our team. So day one, he walks into all of that, professional photographer, professional stager, and you know, that's a pretty cool thing when it's already set up for you with systems. Yet a lot of people don't have that, and I had to learn the hard way of figuring all that out, which takes a lot of falling down and picking yourself back up, and that didn't work. I need to do this, I need to do that. So to answer your question, Don, I would just say, you know, you have to have a life, right? So real estate is awesome. I could continue selling 100 plus homes myself every year, yet I wouldn't have a life. I really didn't have a great life when I was doing that with one EA, you know, because that's really what we were doing. I had one EA and it was me, and that was, TB was getting up at 5 in the morning and I was going to bed at midnight. It was common for me to be entering a listing from 10 p.m. to midnight. So I got a real estate coach, and my real estate coach is, tell me your schedule. And that was kind of, went through everything. He's like, wait a second here. You input listings between 10 p.m. and midnight? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're doing all your own photography? He said, yep. He's like, you're doing all the staging appointments yourself? Yep. He's like, why? Why would you choose a life like this, right? But I didn't know it another way, right? So I told myself, well, I'm a great photographer. I'm a great stager, blah, 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 right? But at the end of the day, he started helping me leverage and find the right people to bring into our world that can help us give a better customer experience, quite honestly, and then have myself show up as the right person that I need to be for my family, where I'm here for dinner and I'm not missing out on everyone's lives. And like you mentioned, Don, coach two baseball team, I'm my 20th season coaching, right? So if I chose not to build a team, there's no way I'd have that opportunity, right? And it's what you replace with the time. I think now my job becomes more of how do I help build the business to attract talent like Craig that wants to stay within our business for a long time, right? And so it becomes how big can we get Craig to go? How big can we get Kate to go and other team members on our team to support them to go as big as they want within our organization? And I think a lot of people say that and not a lot of people do that. So, that would be my long answer.
There was a lot of wisdom there, though, from a standpoint of some people are control freaks, right? We've all probably in some elements of our lives feel that way. And as you mentioned, like really truly start believing that, oh, I'm the best photographer as well. Not only am I a great agent, but boy, I take some great pictures. And
yeah, I'm the best at photography.
I'm the best at everything, right? So
let me add this. So my coach told me this once. He said, Tony, if someone can do it as 80% similar to you and you're happy with the results at 80%, you got to be good with that. No one is going to do it just like you. No one's going to do it just like Ken. No one's going to do it just like Jen and Jason. So you got to have that variance when you are hiring, that allow people to be themselves. And we're looking for the result, right? It doesn't have to be the exact same way. We're looking for the result to be 80% similar to what you're looking for. So that really helped me.
It's powerful. And Craig, coming from your perspective, I mean, I'm assuming, I don't know what your past relationship with Tony was or what made you choose Tony and his team from the get-go, but was the fact that those systems were in place and maybe you looked at other options as well and just thought that those systems, were more solid from what the team was providing. I'm assuming that had some role in your decision to join Tony's team and obviously did play a big role in your ability to get off to a fast start, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I met with another team leader, and then also how I met Tony was honestly my real estate instructor knew Tony and thought I would be a good fit with Tony's organization. So that's how I met him. What I would say that I really liked about Tony when I first met him was that you could tell he really was concerned about your family life and making sure you're going from this nice corporate job to real estate. And that's can be a tough transition. People think, oh, you're going to have flexibility to your schedule. You have way more time, all this stuff. And he was able to kind of coach me through, this is how I would do things. You need to take your time off and plan that accordingly. But he already kind of had that. He's been through the role, which was perfect. And he was on a team as a listing agent as well. So he was really able to coach me very well through that process. So
awesome. Thanks, Craig. Jason and Jen, let's go to you. And your thoughts on this dynamic of, going down the path of team building versus the individual production route.
I agree with Tony. I think that, first and foremost is that, find that support staff and, kind of systematize what you're doing and make it duplicatable. I think that, a lot of teams, like you said, you just jump into hiring sales agents and you don't really have the systems and the things in place. I mean, we did that, right? We made the same mistake.
We did.
We were overwhelmed and we're like, we need help. We were actually going on vacation. That's how we ended up hiring the first agent. And we quickly realized the holes in our system when you tried to have somebody else jump into what you were doing. We thought it was all figured out.
Right.
Because we thought they could all just read our minds and know exactly what we were doing. So I think that is the most important thing. And now the next thing is there's so many, I know people get worried about hiring an admin staff, or they're afraid that they don't have the money to do it. But I know there's a lot of companies out there that you can outsource. There's a lot of, a lot of brokerages are offering these services now. So I think that, the first thing to do is get yourself some support. that will help you scale and you can start figuring out your system.
One of the best things that hit me was, I think it was one of the real estate coaches as well at the time that we were using. He's like, write down everything in a day that you do that you hate to do and get that all off your plate. Because if you get rid of all that stuff, then you can go back to having that family time. You probably end up selling more homes and being more productive. And one of them for me was, I am not a paperwork guy, right? Like I want to be out talking to people, making the relationships. I don't ever want to write a contract or any of that stuff. So one of our first hires after we hired salespeople, we did it backwards. We hired a transaction coordinator, and that just frees you up so much because to Tony's point, there's no reason that if you're doing that type of business, you should be writing your own contracts or inputting your own listings at that point.
But one thing you just left out when you were saying that, he said, write down everything you hate to do in a day. And so he's like, keep that on your desk. And he's like, that's your job description. That's what you're looking to hire.
Yeah.
Like that's how you figure out what you need. And that was just really key. I think like if you have the right support staff, you can easily do over 100 transactions on your own. It's just having those people to back you up.
Yeah, great thoughts. So I hope what people are hearing is that, you know, building a team doesn't necessarily have to be a team of agents, right? I mean, if we're viewing this as a business, building a team could literally be starting with a transaction coordinator, with someone who can just help with the administrative side of things. So you're not entering in contracts and listings at 10 o'clock at night, and you can and have that ability to leverage yourself a little bit. It could be working with a photographer. It could be partnering up with a stager. It could be any of those things that can free up your time a little bit so that you can focus in on what really are the revenue generating activities of the business at the end of the day. And if you need some help getting connected with great vendors, just check out Tampa Bay Real Producers, because we have a whole bunch of them. So we can connect you with some great people to help leverage your team if you need it. Ken, let's go to you, bud.
All right. Well, thank you. What both of them just said, it's funny when you start off, you're just busy, you're doing a lot of stuff. You don't realize that, you know, if you don't have a maid, you are the maid mentality. And the first hire I did is really a vendor to take my calls, to set the appointments, which I thought was the silliest thing. I can do that. It only takes a minute, but really when you add up how many phone calls you take to set the appointment for a showing and things like that, it was I call it my first hire. And then the second person I hired, again, was an outside contractor to put in my listings, because I personally hate to write. I hate to do the reviews, do the numbers. Computers, I just soon not stay on them. And it made a big difference. And again, we all agreed the first thing you think you want to hire is a buyer's agent, because you're so slammed, you have so many leads. But if you get the admin or anybody in the office, EA, however you want to go with, it just makes a huge difference. Because a buyer agent is free. Tony is, dead on. That's the first thing you think, it's a free, and I just take a percentage. But in reality, if you bring on somebody, the things that you hate, like paperwork, if you do a disc profile for me, my C is so low, I don't think you even see the color on the map. And it's just not for me. So, and the other problem I had, I guess, when I was hiring people like me, not really somebody that did the opposite of me, because, oh my gosh, we're so much alike. Why don't you come and join? And you learn real quick. You really have to get somebody that's not like you. And that's a little hard, because sometimes, you don't want to bring somebody in that, you might hit heads on topics or things to that nature. But hiring the right person in the beginning is vital. And when you can trust them and rely on them, it just makes it so much easier. I love photography. I did that as a hobby. The weddings, portraits, things like that. But man, when you did a home, it was night and day different than that. And me subbing that out, which was hard for me because I love photography. But boy, it was a lifesaver. It's just little things that you can leverage out, that you can go back to doing the income producing business. You're so much better off. When I got in the business, again, short sales were my forte. And that is a lot of paperwork. And I used to do all the negotiations with the banks, which means, months of work. But again, you found somebody to help you with that. And it huge difference.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm hearing some common themes about focusing on your strengths, leveraging out your weaknesses, identifying what your revenue generating activities truly are, and then being able to focus on them. Even if you feel like you're the best photographer in the world, it's probably not your biggest revenue generating activity and the best use of your time as a business owner. In the real estate community. So some great stuff. Appreciate it. Whether you're an agent who can see yourself maybe building a team of mega agents and you're excited about that, obviously you have some people you can learn from on this panel, or you're an agent who, doesn't really see yourself doing that, but you want to still operate at 100+ units a year. It sounds like in order to do that and have a life, you're going to have to still build some sort of a team, just leveraging out vendors and other people who ironically want to help you, right? In those areas, you just have to give them the opportunity to actually do so. And who knows, if you allow them to, you might actually be pleasantly surprised with how they might do it better than you can at the end of the day. So let's talk a little bit more about the goal setting side. Margot brought this up earlier. All of you, I'm assuming, are very experienced on setting business plans and creating your goals and what you want to accomplish with your team. So when you think about going into a year, like to me, I always get excited this time of year because I love the holiday season, number one, but also because I always like kind of looking forward to something exciting, right? And so the fact that a new year is almost upon us, there's all hope, all opportunity. What's 2021 going to look like, feel like? What can we get accomplished in 2021? Why don't we go through some thoughts as to how you go about planning out a year? What are your keys to that? What takeaways do you? What are the things you're focused on this time of year when you're thinking about planning 2021? And what specific action steps do you think people should be thinking about and doing now to plan out a year where they, want to go after 100+ homes? In 2021. Let's start with Jason and Jen. Then we'll hop over to the Baroni team, and then Ken will wrap us up. All right, Jason and Jen, go ahead.
So I will say this was something that we kind of really sucked at in the beginning because we kind of just jumped into real estate just to see what would happen. We had 3 little kids at the time, so I wasn't super focused on making this a huge career. I was more focused on the kids. But it took us hiring a coach to really break that down. He was like, what are you guys doing? Like, in our mind, we were like, okay, well, we did this number. Like, we want to double it next year. We want to double it next year. But we really didn't take the time to look and see exactly what it would take to do that. So we actually, with our coach, finally started breaking down the numbers. It's like, okay, that's great. You want to do 100 deals, but let's work it backwards. And how does that look like with making phone calls or hiring admin or a team? So I think that was something that was a big eye-opener for us, because once we got to a certain point, we never really honed in on those lead sources. Now I'm kind of psychotic about tracking all of that, because knowing your numbers, knowing where your leads come from, knowing where your business comes from was really, really key, because there's a difference, I think, between feeling busy and feeling productive and what really makes you money, right? So we were really heavy on Zillow and Realtor.com leads, which can make you feel really, really busy because your phone never stops. But when we really broke down our numbers, this is when we realized we had to hire some salespeople, was our personal business was coming all from Sphere and referrals at that point. So we had all these leads coming in that were making us feel busy, but we weren't really capitalizing on those. So by knowing your numbers and really knowing where your business comes from, that helped us plan our hires and what we needed to do for the future.
I agree. Yeah. I think working it backwards is key, right? If you know your goal is to get to 100, there's a formula already figured out on how many calls you have to make, how many showings you have to have, how many listing appointments to go on. And that's really, I think, going back to being a business owner, right? That's what plans your day basically throughout the week, and then those weeks turn into the months turns into that year on how to get to that end goal. So I think you start with the goal and then work it backwards.
7 habits of highly successful people begin with the end in mind. That's one of the first ones in there. So I love that thought. And I also heard the theme of simply knowing your numbers. And, there's a lot of great systems out there nowadays in real estate to help you track those numbers. And, sometimes for people that aren't numbers people, it's almost intimidating to like even think about it or bother with that side of the business. But, that might be something your broker can help you with, someone on your team can help you with. It's, I think, really critical to have somebody who is good at those things, good at the numbers, that can show them to you if you're not yourself, and learning how to use that to plan appropriately.
And I think that stops the money bleed too, right? Like sometimes you think, for an example, you may think, I'm just going to use Zillow as an example. You may think that you're making all this money off your Zillow leads, and then you break it down and you see, well, you know what? My Realtor.com conversion maybe is higher than Zillow. So maybe you dial Zillow back and you increase on Realtor, or you increase on events, things like that. It's knowing your numbers will definitely keep your profit in mind.
And I think it's also important to constantly revisit it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will set a goal and then they don't keep, checking in on where they're at with that and revisiting those numbers throughout the year.
Yeah, I love it. Breaking it down per source and then actually having accountability checkpoints. All great tips. Craig, let's go to you. Craig, and then Tony and Ken. How have you gone out there? Has it been just muscling it for 3.5 years, Craig, or has there been some planning involved with this?
No, definitely some planning. I'll go back to when I first met with Tony. He said, how many listings you want to do? And I said 200, my first year, just because I didn't know. I just figured, if I get a listing up, every other day or something like that, so I've always been trying to strive to hit that goal, to keep my word there. But we do a lot of goal planning, especially right now, building up to 2021. And we just know that you have to continue to crush it right now and start getting listing appointments now, because those are the ones that are going to close in January, February to start your year off right. So like last year, I knew in January, I had 12 that signed with me. So this year, to get to my next goal, I need to have 15 signed and 15 that are going to close in January. So just focusing on conversion rate too. So to get 15, I've got to go on 19 based on my conversion rate. So just knowing your goals, like they said, and crushing those. Right now, we don't normally take off, at least I don't normally take off a lot of time during the holidays, because that's how we're going to start off the year in January. So that's kind of my plan for 21.
Love it. And I love the idea of early momentum, right? I mean, how do you feel when, even whether it's a week, a month, or a year, like you just get off to a fast start? It does a lot for your psychology of believing that this is going to be a great year, a great month, a great week. Anything that you can do to get yourself off to a fast start is extremely powerful. So that's a great thought, Craig. Give me your feedback on this, if you would. Like, do you generally look at it? Let's say my goal was 100 for the year. I mean, do I just break that down and say there's 12 months in a year, so I need to at least average, 9 closings a month? Or does it probably make more sense to say, I'm not going to work the same effort all 12 months, so I need to ebb and flow this time. I need to be doing 15 to 20 this month. What's the most common way to look at how you would break down an annual goal like that?
Yeah, for me specifically, I mean, like I said, I've only been in it a few years, but I can kind of see the trends just based on my closings the past 3 years of, okay, I need to crush it during these months. And then these months are going to be a little bit slower. So, and the goal now too, as we're building, is obviously with our team, it's called The Promise, but building referrals. So as the years have gone on, the referrals seem to come in a lot better, I guess would be the right term. So I'm starting to see those referrals, and they're coming normally in the springtime, summertime, and then in the fall it does slow down a little bit, and then right now it always starts to pick back up for the holidays. And I don't know if that's because other agents take off during this time or what the issue is, but we definitely usually see a good increase the next 30 days, because other agents aren't available, they're on vacation, they took off for the holidays. So
got to strike while the iron's hot, right? Tony, let's go to you. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'd just say, it starts with weekly. Obviously, there's an annual, but for us, I mean, the way we operate is on Sunday, everyone sends their 411 to whoever their direct report is. So Craig's, under my leadership, specifically on our team. So he sends me his 411, meaning here's my goals for the week. Here's my numbers. I would argue I probably know Craig's numbers just as well as him, if not better, because I'm tracking it, on my 411 every week. I send that to my coach. He sends his to me. I have 5 other people that directly report to me. So it's a whole system, right? And we all are on the same page, speaking the same language. And then if I don't send it to my coach Sunday by midnight, I owe him $1,000 to his favorite charity. So, we take it very serious, yet clarity is power. So when you know what your goals are, you're going to strive for them and you're going to know. So going into 2021, we always evaluate what's the 3 things we need to do next year and one is full execution of the promise, right? So like Craig was just talking about, instead of us trying to find a new lead source, how do we just get a little bit better to get more referrals from the people we work with? So if we get a 5-star review from a client, then why would they not refer us, right? Well, here's the reason, guys, because we don't ask. We don't coach our clients how to do that. We don't we don't really bring it up. So they don't think of us and they don't necessarily go to bat for us, in other words. But if you set the expectation of, hey, we'd love to earn future business, then we're just planting that seed day one and creating a referral partner for life. So I think we try to buy all these things that don't work, yet the client the client you're already working with right now is probably your best way to get new business, and then make sure they're happy and take good care of them. And then at the end, get a review, so that's one of the 3 things we're focused on next year on our team. And you just you can't do 50, you need to do 2 or 3 and then really nail it. Right. So we really, that's how we do it ourselves.
Awesome. I really think the idea of accountability is so important. Maybe you don't want to be risking $1,000 every week, like Tony does, but I like the idea, man. You got to put some pain in there, you got to put a little pain in case you screw up. That makes a lot of sense. And so Ken, let's go to you. You seem to be multiplying on our screen. That's why you're such a great agent. Like I see Ken's name popping up all over the place.
Oh, do you really? I'm not sure why. I told you I didn't like the computer too much, didn't I? So maybe this happened.
I'm telling you, it's why you're so great at what you do. It's like your marketing is working for you, even in the half an hour that we're together. So, Ken, let's go to you, man. How about some thoughts on this goal setting concept and how you would plan out a 100 unit goal for a year?
Well, I have to start off done, but one, being invited here to ask questions or to answer anything is really humbling. So thank you for inviting me. I really personally am learning from everybody here. I'm a slow learner, I guess, when it comes to some of this stuff. I did hire a coach years into the business beforehand. Second thing is I've just not really accountable too much. I just wanted to make sure everybody was taken care of. The last few years, I've had goals that I wanted to set, and we've now obtained them or are attaining them. My goals are above my door. So, every day I get to look and make sure that that's where I'm heading. So my vision is exactly where I want it to be. Then I have a great team members. I mean, from Joe, Tammy, Amanda, and so forth, that we literally met last month to set our goals for 2021. We're putting a lot of things in place to move us forward. And like Tony said as well, you really have to ask for the business. And we track exactly where all our leads come from. Jason, you even mentioned you narrow it down, you got rid of a few things, because we spend money thinking it's coming in and we really don't know until you really track it. And it makes such a huge difference where we went. We literally a year ago, we cut out a lot of our marketing. We're down to just literally 3 pillars of where we get our leads, with our sphere of being number 1. And we cater to that. And that's what we work on. There's no reason to put out 20 different things, trying just to grab stuff and anything. We should just work what we have and make it so efficient that's really what happens. Because unfortunately, a lot of new agents, they're like me, because I did the same thing. You just grab whatever's out there and maybe that it's working for somebody, then so let me buy it, or let me go, use that platform. And you learn very quickly, they all work. Everything works if you work it. And you just can't work 50, and you can't, you may be able to touch them, but what is that? You can be great at some things. You can just be good at a lot of others. And it's the same thing with our lead generating, make your phone calls. I think that's the hardest thing to get someone to do, to understand this is a contact sport. And I mean, a true contact sport. If you do not make your contacts, it doesn't really matter. You can get all the leads you want coming in, but if you don't contact them and work those leads, it does not matter for your business. But to set the goals is now, that's what we're doing now. But 7 years ago, it was just take care of the customer and make them so happy that they're going to refer business. Again, if they give you a 5-star or they love you, they do need to be taught how to give you business, because at one point, it's almost every other year. 80% of my business is sphere, and then it drops because something else happened, and then it goes down to 50 or so, and then back up to 80 maybe. But our goal is to get 80% off our sphere and referrals, and then the other 20% off the other avenues. So I hope that answered the question on what you're looking for.
Yeah, no, it was great. In fact, it was a perfect transition to this next question. So I appreciate you starting to bring up some of the marketing ideas, because that is what we're going to be diving into now. And I think one of the things that, as you touched on, Ken, that people sometimes struggle with is, what do I really want to focus on? And what am I going to get great at? Right. And we can't be great at everything when it comes to methods and different platforms and marketing in general. Tampa Bay Real Producers is a marketing platform. So we always ask about marketing, and we love to get people's thoughts on marketing. And obviously it plays a big role in your business successes, but let's talk a little bit about, what role does marketing innovation actually play in your evolution of these goals annually? Do you go into every year maybe looking for one other source that you didn't tap into before? Do you look to eliminate sources like Ken talked about, and that's actually helped his business grow from having maybe too many to having a lesser amount, but you can get deeper with those particular sources? So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on that, on those philosophies, how you approach it from a marketing standpoint, and what platforms are kind of the no-brainers. I've heard from more than one of you that referrals should probably be an integral aspect in every top agent's business. So having a system in place that you feel really confident in when it comes to referral generation might be a high priority if you don't have that already as an agent. But let's start again with you, Ken. If there's anything extra you wanted to say, you've already touched on some of this. So if you feel like you don't have anything extra, that's cool. We'll move on. But if you have anything you wanted to add to that, we'll start with you and then go to Craig and Tony, and then end with Jason and Jen.
Well, what Jason and Jen said, you got to track those numbers and see what really works, because some leads are costing you $1.50 a piece to come in. Others are $8 to $12. But if your conversion ratio is worth it, you stay with whatever program you're working with. And you have to track that and then eliminate what's not working, because they all work. But again, you thin it out. So that's what we did last year. And there's not a whole lot more. I mean, we tracked our top, where every lead came from. And then we just said, okay, what's the top 4? And we just cut out everything else, no matter what. Feels like we're cutting off our business, but we're not. And now we're really spending a lot of time. Our team is working on customer appreciation events or activities a lot more, and going to try to really perfect that to a great art. I'm going to brag on Tony. Tony, what little I know he does, he really knocks it out of the park with that. Kudos to him. But anyway, if that helps.
Thanks, Ken. Awesome.
Yep.
Let's go to, and I think the idea of focusing on your top 4 makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. I hope that resonated with people. Tony, let's go to you and then Craig.
So yeah, so many things to say about this, but ultimately, we have all heard this from a vendor, right? It's like, well, you just need one closing for it. So I'm going to challenge everyone not to think that way, because at the end of the day, we're not trying to break even on a lead source, right? We're trying to do a 6-time return or a 4-time return. Like, I was very stingy about 6-time return before, and now I'm accepting 4 times. But yet it needs to be a return, right? And if you're not tracking stuff, then you really don't know. So that's always the first question, anything that comes into our team. How did you find out about us, right? And then sometimes it's the spouse, and the spouse is saying, well, my wife told me to call, and it's like, okay, well, we're noting that. And then when we go on the appointment, we're going to dig in and figure out, like, well, how did they find us? Did they type into Google? If they did, what did they type? And we're getting really specific. So we know what our marketing dollars, what works the best. And we're tracking that at a high level. Agent referrals is our number one source of business. So, I have done no less than 100 trainings in 2020 all around the country, trying to add value to agents' lives, just like I am today. And then in return, they refer me business. They think of me when they think of Tampa or Orlando. And by the way, anyone on here for Tampa, we're in Orlando, so we'd love to, love to earn your business over there with our team in Orlando if you have any needs that way. But you got to track it as the first thing. And then marketing wise, what my goal is to continue to add more and more value, right? So if I go on a listing appointment and I'm up against Jason and Ken, my hope is we have so much value, it's hard to tell us no, right? So we all know that certain things in this market with 1 month of inventory, you don't need all this stuff, right? Yet they may hire you because you have a little bit more marketing than the next person, right? So we're adding to that, innovating. What else can we add in, right? And then we're not charging higher costs, right? We're actually keeping it the same cost, but just adding more value to clients. So that's been my strategy for a long time on the listing side. And then I'll tell you on the buying side, it's literally availability. So I'm going to break down real estate real quick. There's two things. Buyers want someone to let them in a house. That's it. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They want access to that house. So you need to be available to allow that to happen. And then you earn their business, right? But we are literally door openers on the buy side to begin with. And hopefully you have the privilege of them calling you versus someone else. And then you need to get on the horn around their schedule and show them the property that they want to see, and then hopefully build a relationship from there. The listing side, literally they want your advice on what their house would sell for. And then they want marketing and all of that stuff. So they want that, again, all around their schedule, right? So if they call you and they want you to come out tomorrow, you need to have a way to make that happen. And then the last thing I'd say, you got to answer your phone. Whether it's you, a call center, an assistant, whatever the case may be. I can't tell you how many people that I've gotten into the business and I just let them know that number one advice, answer your phone. Now, some may say, well, yeah, Tony, I can't get a hold of you on one of your listings. Well, we do have a number, and you definitely someone will answer the phone. It may not be me, but they're assigned to answer that question, right? And then there's certain things that happen where, you need to call them back or whatever, but have a plan to answer your phone. And I guarantee you're going to be very successful in this business because no one answers their phone. So I'm going to break down one last thing in the 5-minute rule. Okay. So in 5 minutes, if you answer your phone, you have 80% chance to do business with the person that calls you. Okay. At 10 minutes, it goes down to 5%. So what's that tell you about answering your phone? It's that important, guys. And there's a million realtors. What did Don say? 18,000 in Hillsborough County and Pinellas. That's insane. 18,000. There's 275,000 realtors in the state of Florida. All right. So it does not get more competitive than the landscape we're in every day and in this business of real estate. So that's my advice for anyone. Make sure you try to set up systems that way. By the way, there's 1 million call centers locally in Tampa that you could hire if it's just you, and make sure they capture the information so you can call them back. And that would be a good plan as well. Hope that helps.
There was a lot of gold there. I think there was a lot of, I can hear all the pens and the paper and a lot of notes being taken with some of those thoughts. But, buyers want access and listings want advice on value. I think, that's the crux of the matter right there. Craig, let's go to you, bud. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, real quick, because that was awesome. Just real quick, I thought Tony was great. Sorry, my daughter was over there singing. The vendor, what he taught me was great, was from the beginning is real estate is about relationships. And so we've done a great job too, I feel like, building great relationship with vendors. And it's more based on if we're referring you like an inspector, if we're referring you 50 inspections, what are you guys referring back to us client wise? Because everybody knows somebody that needs a real estate need. So plumbers, electricians, HVAC, attorneys are great vendor partners, lenders, stuff like that. Those partners that you're supporting, are they supporting your team as well in return? So I thought that's always been great, is building those relationships. And then to Tony's point, answer your phone, but also be able to text. If you don't text nowadays, you're going to be left behind.
Good stuff. I like it. You got to utilize technology nowadays. We all know that. Jen and Jason, what do you guys have? What are your thoughts on this one?
I guess the biggest thing the advice I would give is I think that there's so many ways to do this business. There's so many different lead sources. And as newer agents, we come in and you think you have to do it all. Find what is authentic to you, right? Find what's going to work with your lifestyle. When we first got in, I didn't have a sphere here. I didn't know anybody. So we were very heavy on Zillow and Realtor.com, which we still are. I don't ever want to knock those platforms. I think there's a great place for them in our business. But, it is a very, like Tony was saying, like it's a very reactionary business to be getting into, right? Your phone comes in, you have to jump on it. You have to be willing to run out the door. So it wasn't something that was sustainable for us for a very long time. But to be honest, most of the friends that we have here are people that we've met through this business. I didn't know anybody. My best friends were past clients. And so I think as we transitioned and we started tracking those lead sources, it was easy for us to realize that like our big passion is our clients. It is our referrals. And so just making that part of your business, like he coaches football, I coach cheer. We're very, very involved in making your everyday life still your business. Like I'm always involved with the kids' schools. I'm always sponsoring things. We're always involved in the community. And so that's how we can still network, market ourselves, but make it work with our life. I know myself, I'm not somebody who's going to sit there and call for sub-owners and expireds. I don't like it. Just not my thing, right? So instead of trying to force myself to do something that I don't like, find those things that you're passionate about. And when you're passionate about something, it'll always come through.
Awesome. So I think to try to put a bow on the marketing point, we heard a lot of different ideas from, identifying your top 3 to 4 sources and trying to fuel those, obviously starting with knowing your numbers. If that's something you struggle with, getting some help in that area, having some systems in place to help you track where your business is coming from. And then, fueling the ones that are really working. Tony talked about looking for 4X and 6X returns per source and making decisions, based on that, figuring out how to be able to fuel the ones that are producing the most. And also going into each year, maybe with an eye open on a new platform and a new opportunity that you can add in, even if it's just for the value of simply having something else to talk about in your listing appointment that adds more value to the client. And then last, but definitely not least, that referral focus with client appreciation events, things that you can do to try to just stay top of mind with your clients. It's ironic to me, since I have a unique opportunity to interview so many top agents, that commonly I hear one of the reasons why they got into real estate was because they had a bad experience with an agent. It's one of the most common things that I hear in their interviews, is they felt like it should be better than this. And so they did something about it, right? They got into the business and they created a better model. And it just speaks to the importance of the client experience, right? And why it's so critical that you're thinking in those lines of having something that is, not only answering your phone and texting as we've talked about, but making sure that they feel valued and listened to and appreciated throughout the entire process. So critical. So great wisdom, great stuff. A couple of you guys, to transition into another question here, is that you've brought up the importance of like mentors and coaches and people that have played a role in your success and growth over the years. So one of the questions I had in there was, how important is it to just surround yourself with people that are operating at a certain level? We've probably all heard before, the idea that you tend to operate as a reflection of who you're surrounded by. Like those 3 to 5 people that you surround yourself with, that tends to really affect your productivity, your mentality, your psychology, all of those things. And so it would be, interesting to think, like, if you're somebody who has not yet broken that barrier of 100 homes in a year, are you actually talking to people who have done that? Are you proactively and intentionally looking to reach out to people that, are on this panel and others that are operating at that level? Can any of you speak to the importance of that and of mentors and coaches and just your environment and how much of a role that has played in your success? We'll kind of go random here. Who wants to go first?
I would love to chime in on this one. I was going to say real quick, my mentor when I got in was a life changer. She, being a new agent, was not only just a friend, but she inspired me daily. I learned so much from her. She was my fuel every day. I never wanted to let her down. So I will say that was a huge part of my success, but we still feel that way. And he loves this topic, so I'm going to let him go on this one.
Well, this is so sports related, right? Because winners win and winners hang around winners. So if you want to get better at anything, whether it's business, it's sports, or it's your real estate career, you need to hang around people that are doing more than you. And I remember a few years ago when we were in Tom Ferry coaching, we were trying to get to the elite coaching, but they had a minimum where you had to be at 20 million production before they would even allow you to be in that group. And it's a group that you pay $2,500 a month to be in, and we couldn't even pay to sit at that table at that point, And then finally we got there, and now what we're seeing is, okay, we've gotten to this level. Now how do we get to 300 homes a year? How do we get to 400 and 500? So most of the mentors that we hang around now, they're doing 500 to 1,500 homes per year. And I don't ever want to be the smartest guy in the room, because if I'm learning from all these people, it's only going to make us all level up even more.
And I think it keeps you motivated, right?
Oh, for sure.
I think we all hit points in our career too, that when you start hitting that top level, it can kind of get lonely, right? You don't know where to go. You don't know who to talk to. So to have those friends and mentors, it just, to me, and I know to him, it's everything. Being around those people, they keep you going. Especially
if you're competitive, right? You don't want to be hanging around guys that are doing 500 or 600 a year and you're selling 5, right? So they're going to make you level up. You're the sum of the average of the 5 people you're around, right? How many times have we all heard that?
That's what I was trying to say, but you said it much better than me, Jason. I appreciate it.
Go.
Who else, guys? That's some great stuff there. I'd love to hear some other thoughts.
I'll chime in. Mentors are everything, right? So I think it's the most underutilized important thing in business is mentors. And I think that, I think part of the problem with today's world, we have all these sources, right? There's a million podcasts, there's all these gurus and for everything. So one thing, my mentor, my number one mentor out of anyone in my life is Gary Keller. And I'm in Gary's mastermind group, Gary Keller, that started Keller Williams. And he said this a couple of years ago, he said, pick one, right? So for every category, we try to have 10. And then they all teach a little bit differently. There's similarities always, but, pick out who for, spirituality, fitness, business, all these things, pick one and then master what they do. And then you earn the right to get a second, right? So you got to figure out who those people are in your lives. Larry Bartow and Debbie Romero were my 2 mentors. I owe everything to them. Without them, there's no way I would be where I am, right? I hope to be that mentor for Craig and anyone else on my team. Tony Robbins, I did the Firewalk. Don, I know you're a big Tony Robbins fan. Craig went last year. I'm a firewalker. And that really was a big moment in my life when I did that. And I'm like, wow, if I can walk on fire that's 1,500 degrees barefoot, maybe I can do just about anything, right? If I have the right mindset. That was a big shift in my life. So mentors are everything. I will say, before I had a coach, I had a team leader at Keller Williams that I could go to and have a weekly meeting with. And then once I got to a certain level, she's like, listen, Tony, I think you need to get a professional, like not a professional coach, but basically someone that does way more volume to work through some of these issues. And then I hired a MAPS coach with Keller Williams, and that really took me to a whole new level. And I talked about that earlier, where they started, quit shooting your own photography, Tony, quit staging your own houses, Tony. And I'm like, oh, okay, I just didn't think of it that way, right? So they can see blind spots that you'll never be able to see. Also, instantly, any coach is going to be top 5 in your world immediately, right? So you're bringing that some of mentors, and they're instantly in your world in your top 5, which is pretty cool. And yeah, you just keep striving to hang out with people that inspire you, right?
Craig's daughter is feeling inspired right now. She's just wanting to join the party, I think.
Addie.
Yes. He's rocking out over there.
He can say hi.
Do you guys want to chime in with any other thoughts? One of the questions I know I've heard a couple times is, for somebody who's maybe, looking for that mentor, what's the right way to approach somebody as a mentor? I've always kind of viewed it as, can you figure out a way to add value to them first, right? If you can add value to them first, then most people are very reciprocal and they want to add value to your life. If you can figure out a way to add value to them. So that would be my thought on that. Any other approaches that you guys have used or have people have used with you that was effective in terms of just, developing a mentorship type relationship?
I mean, Ryan Owens comes to mind. Just I know he's on here, but I met Ryan. He was a lender at the time, and he came by the office, dropped by a book. He knew where I went to college. I mean, all this stuff, right? And it's like, who does that? And he had just moved from Ohio, and that just was a different approach than what I'm used to seeing. And most people are shaking us down every day. Gimme, 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 gimme. So exactly what you said, Don. How do you add value to other people first without asking for anything? I think Real Producers is a good example of that, right? So you've created a platform for agents to learn, and then in turn you have advertising company as well, and then you have all these vendors that want to partner with agents. So I think Real Producers is a great example of kind of adding the value first, and then hopefully have the opportunity to be in a conversation about business later.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, I can't take all the credit for the business model, but I saw the genius in it when I joined, that's for sure. All right, guys, we're going to be short on time soon, but Ryan, actually, I wanted to give Ken and Craig a chance. Is there anything you guys wanted to add in?
No, I mean, everybody covered it. I thought it was very well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would just say too, like, I love that Ken has the goals above the door. It just reminds me of Notre Dame before the game. They all hit the sign that says play like a champion. So
yes,
I just love that Ken has that, and that's a great idea. Yeah,
that's huge. Tony, you'll appreciate this. I have my Date with Destiny vision board in my office up on my wall every day. So that's critical. Most of us are visionaries. It definitely plays a big role. I want to get to some of Ryan's questions, actually, that he typed in the Q&A. Before I do that, one question that I know has come up that I would love to get your opinion on, and we can do this rapid fire, is if you had to think of one specific challenge that was the biggest obstacle to you breaking the 100 home barrier. If you think back to the first time that you did it, right? The first year that you hit that number. Is there a specific thing that comes to mind that was like, this one thing was my biggest challenge that year that, we had to figure this out, and things started popping once we did. What's one challenge that would come to mind? We'll do it rapid fire. And if you don't think of one, that's totally cool. I know I put you on the spot. But Craig, do you have anything?
My biggest thing I would say is probably on transactions with negotiations. My biggest thing would be definitely getting on the phone with the other agent and trying to work it out during inspections, appraisal, whatever it is, and making sure it's just not, oh, it's not going to work out, I'll sell it again to somebody else. Trying to work it out so you get that transaction closed and move to the next client.
Imagine that, relationships with the other 18,000 agents. I could see why that could be a challenge for sure. Ken, your thought?
Yeah, what I'm thinking about, and I probably take me down a different path than you probably want, but I think just find the right hire, someone that has the same why as you and the vision that you have. And if you don't print the vision or see the vision, or they can't see it, it's really going to be hard for you to go anywhere, because you have 18,000 people with a license and they all want a paycheck or a job, but sometimes they just don't have the vision. And if you want to hit your goals, you all have to be on the same bus and going in the right direction. So to me, that's how I see the question that you have is if you're going to hit any goals you have, you really have to have the vision, have to have it through the team from beginning to end. And anyone that doesn't want to make it, maybe the team's not for them. So.
Makes sense. One of my mentors told me once that it's really important in business to hire slow and to fire fast. And that speaks to the idea of knowing what you're looking for and taking that time to make sure that those missions, the mission's aligned. So Tony, you have a thought there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you need to slow down to speed up. So sometimes, we're in pain, right? So we're like, hey, I need to hire this person immediately. So we skip some steps, but you just got to nail the hires, right? So I always use the example, my first two EAs didn't work out. One moved to South Florida at their 90 days. She was awesome. And she became a model in Miami. It was devastating, right? Like I'd spent 90 days getting her up and going. She's like, I'm going to go be a model in Miami. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, right? The next one, some crazy stuff. I won't even get into the details, but basically she left the office with 31 contracts and never came back. And she had personal turmoil going on in her life with some domestic violence and stuff like that. So, and then what if I would have quit, right? First two didn't work out and I would have said, this isn't for me, right? Well, then I hired Sherry Myros, which Sherry's on our team today. She's been with us 8 years, and we credit Sherry for a lot of our success because she really nailed the role for us. And that's immediately when we went to 100. So for those that have had hiring issues, because I know I have, don't give up, right? And then learn from each one and say, well, what would I have done differently? What did that person not have the qualities that I need in the next person, right? And just don't give up and keep going, and you'll learn, and you got to find the right people. So we need to hunt for talent just as much as we need to hunt for listings, right? And I think we miss that. When you get to be a team, you really need to be looking for awesome talent all the way. And then our team is announcing off the rooftops, we are hiring all the time, right? That's created a lot of opportunities for us, because if we didn't, we might not be in a relationship or in a conversation with people. And
I would like to add, you want to hire before you really need them. You really plan out what you need next and start searching. It's a month of looking and searching and interviewing. So if you wait until you're too busy, you're in trouble. You're going to be in a lot of pain, and then you won't be able to sit down like you did the 30-month or 30 day. You can't do that when you're slammed. You really have to do it way in advance.
That addresses one of Ryan's questions, by the way, so I'm sure he appreciates that. Ken, thank you for throwing that thought in there. I think it's really critical that you're always looking for talent. You're never shutting that funnel, down. There's always a fit. If you find the right candidate and you find the right talent, there's always a fit for them somewhere, right? In your organization, if you always have that mindset. Jason, Jen, can you think of one challenge that resonated with you the most?
For me, I think it's the same thing that they've been saying, is that finding that right hire. We went through a lot of wrong hires. I think understanding that process, and again, maybe reaching out to somebody as a mentor on like how to properly hire, because we tend to, I think Tony or somebody said earlier, we tend to hire people that we like, and we're not necessarily looking for the right person necessarily. And so really having that job description and everything figured out, because a lot of pain in the wrong hires. And It's hard when you're starting over with people over and over and over.
I think it's just taking action, right? Like how many of us are on calls like this, or we've gone to conferences, or we listen to a podcast, and it's all spelled out. Everyone's put it out there on how to be successful, The difference is 99% of the people don't take the action to do it. So all you've got to do is take the action to go follow what people have already put in place. Guys like Tony that came before us and Ken, you guys have already shown how to be successful. The map's there, just copy it.
It's a great point. Great point, Jason, is the ability to execute and find out what it's going to take for you to, we all know ourselves better than anyone else would know us. So most of the time anyway. So if we just know, where we tend to fall short on execution and putting some systems in place to get us in the right mindset every day. That's what Tony Robbins constantly talks about, is the importance of our state, right? Our emotional state each and every single day. There are certain systems and triggers that can put us in the right place that help us execute at a much higher level. I think that's ultimately, at the end of the day, that's probably always the biggest challenge for everybody, is themselves, right? The lack of execution. So we're running short on time, but I think we have a minute or two. So we have Ryan have a question about, to sell 100 homes, what's most important in terms of focusing on new clients or cultivating relationships with past clients to get referrals? Do you guys have an opinion on one or the other? Obviously both are important, but where would your number one focus be if you were trying to put a business together?
Current clients. I mean, it's just like right before you buy a car, you see it on every corner. And then as you're buying the car, you see it everywhere too. And those buyers or sellers that you're working with would be the easiest, because they're very happy and they're excited. They're going to be talking to anybody. To me, that's the easiest low hanging fruit you'll grab. Past clients are, in my opinion, your next, because again, if you did a great job, you delivered the wow factor, then by all means, they're going to be your best sales folks.
Makes sense?
Yeah, I would say all clients are different too. So, one thing you could do is focus on your best advocates for yourself. So track who's giving you the most referrals, and, maybe you don't have lunch with every single person in your database. Maybe you do the top 20 people you spend a little more time with because they're more influential and they're also more of an advocate for you, right? So that's when you get into real strategic, friendships and vendors where, not everyone's going to basically be on the same page always. So you need to make sure you understand who's out there that are advocates for you in your business, that want to send you business, and make sure they know you appreciate them very much.
Makes a lot of sense. And then the other question Ryan had in here was, by the way, one thought I had when Tony was talking was, there's a great book out there called Rating Fans that I recommend anyone to read who has a business and wants to create a loyal brand of followers in their business. If you haven't read it, Rating Fans. And there's a second one I read this year called How to Never Lose a Customer Again by Joey Coleman. I think I gave that to some agents as a gift earlier this year. And it's one of my favorite books on building a business that has loyal followers behind you, is How to Never Lose a Customer Again. So just two quick plugs. I don't make any money, by the way, off of those book sales, just so you guys know. Lastly here, Ryan asked about, does it matter what brand you are with, or constantly be focused on branding, or should you focus on getting good at being an agent and any brand will work? So I'm not exactly sure if he means by brand like your brokerage or just your team brand or your individual brand, but is the focus more on being, a great agent and building that, and the brand kind of takes care of itself? Any thought on that from anybody?
I don't think a brand matters. I think it's you. I think it's the relationship that people have with you. That's just my personal take on it. I think that, there's certain things that you can gain from a national brand, but I think it always comes down to the relationship that you have with clients. What are your thoughts?
I think that's the majority of it, but I used to think it didn't matter at all. And then honestly, when we left Keller and went to EXP, now it's changed my philosophy. I actually think that now it matters, but less from a consumer standpoint and more from a mentoring standpoint, and what group you're in and who those mentors are. I think just because I've aligned with these higher ranking people through the brand, to me now there's value in that. But if you're an agent that's going to go out there and kill it, you can be successful with any brand.
Makes sense. A lot of times we build our brand through our reputation, and that happens through our work ethic and what we're building out there. Guys, I thought we touched on a lot today in a short period of time. And again, appreciate so much your willingness to share. Shows a lot about all of your character that, real estate at the end of the day can be a very competitive business and in some people's mind, a cutthroat business. So your willingness to be open and share your tricks to the trade just show why you guys are, top echelon performers. So appreciate it so much. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day and an amazing Thanksgiving, and enjoy and be grateful for everything we are blessed with this year, and all the best in 2021 to all of you. So we look forward to seeing you. If you're able to make it, by the way, December 3rd for the second time is our rescheduled masquerade party. So we'd love to have you guys make it. We were supposed to do it tonight, and with the storm, we made a decision to move it. So Thursday, December 3rd in St. Petersburg, we're going to have a real fun masquerade party. You can RSVP on our Facebook page. And we would love to have you guys, see you with your most exotic mask that you can get your hands on. So you guys have an amazing week, and thanks again. So talk to you later.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Yeah.